you want to be a king? Do you want to be a queen? Sitting on the throne.
It's Richard Hart, rumored billionaire and bidet service technician. I'm here to install your bidet, sir.
It's the one and only GOPTGC.
Here we go. Look at that technology right there. It's gonna wash your butt, and your butt's gonna be clean. Let's get to work. Woo! Ooh, doggy. Wow, this thing actually works great. Well, anyway, Richard Hart here, rumored to be a billionaire, installing a bidet for someone that I love. And, it seems to work just fine. It only cost $100, and well, I don't see any leaks. So, clean butts for everybody.
Do you want to be a king? Do you want to be a queen? Sitting on the throne.
Hey guys, it's John here, Crypto Compassion. Welcome into the Shit Show, episode 57. It is Tuesday, January 7th. We have the founder of pTGC and UFO and our man, the Prairie Banana, in-house to just talk about all things pTGC, PulseChain, crypto, maybe some other stuff. Before I bring them up real quick, our boy Rip City made this little intro video for everyone to enjoy, and then we'll kick things off.
Yeah, it's your boy King Boy coming at you. Richard Hart, the king of memes, Hex and PulseChain. Let's get it.
Yo, started with Hex, now we got PulseChain. Richard Hart's the name, crypto's in his veins. From his mama's house where the magic began. Installed the bidet, he's the royal handyman. Now every throne's a royal seat in the land of poor with the crypto elite meet. Billionaire by day, meme king by night. Richard Hart's got the future locked tight. It's the king of memes, yeah, he's the one. From the Hex to the pulse under the crypto sun. Body dreams in a world so bright. In the land of Pui, where everything's right. Hoorah, let's scream it out loud for the king of memes. Make your mama proud. Hoorah, in the land of Pui, where the throne's royal and the crypto's groovy. Rip City, Hex, better the scene. Randy's got the vision, know what I mean? Crypto compassion, heart of gold in the land of Poof. Watch the story unfold. From E4 to the PulseChain wave. They paved the way, now crypto's saved. Each one a king in this meme paradise in the land of Pui. It's the king of memes, yeah, he's the one. From the Hex to the pulse under the crypto sun. Body dreams in a world so bright. In the land of Pui, where everything's right. Hoorah, let's scream it out loud for the king of memes. Make your mama proud. Hoorah.
Welcome, everyone. There we
Hoorah! Hoorah, guys.
AJ's out there doing his duty, driving. It's amazing that AJ has done so much on the road with his cell phone in hand. I mean, there was countless Zoom calls throughout many times. Just like, man, he's out there bobbing and weaving, doing his thing, making stuff happen. Don't ever put limits on yourself. This guy's like working double time. But welcome, the Prairie Banana and the Grace 369. Appreciate you guys coming on here.
Dude, the aliens are here.
Yeah, for sure. You know, what a narrative too. I mean, I've always had, you know, not to like get woo woo, but like, yeah, I've had some interesting encounters, you know what I mean? And sure enough, this stuff's really getting pushed to the forefront in our society now, huh? And it's going to rock blockchain.
Rip City,
Yeah.
that intro was lit, man. Well done. I don't
Hey,
know
you're
how
welcome.
many hours you spent on that, but clearly you put some time into it. That was good.
You know,
Found a little
that's
niche, guys. I found a little niche,
he did find a niche, and
and I enjoy it. It's my pleasure to highlight the guests that come on and take some of their graphics and make them come alive. That's part of what King Pui and this kingdom's all about, is bringing joy to the kingdom, and we do that through art and music. And this is just one thing that that fell into my lap, and I seem to be growing and getting better at it. And so it's something I definitely enjoy, and I'm glad you guys loved it.
Cool.
For sure.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. Real quick, I did want to say, Rip City, hats off to you for really taking advantage of the amount of time you have,
Yep.
because that's something that a lot of us are so constrained by. Like, we only have so much time. Like, that's the equal measure for all of us, and that's why we prefer to make money off of our money instead of money off of our time, which a lot of us are still working towards. But dude, I'm impressed that you're like getting two lives going on here. You got double time. It's not really fair. So kudos to you for just making it happen, kind of multitasking and getting the most out of your day.
Yeah, it's funny that you should say that, because early on it was Chris Corrigal, the Canadian Grateful. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Gelato. He was the one, because I was like, man, I don't know if it's a good idea for me to be streaming while I'm actually in my truck working. He's like, no, dude, you need to be streaming because people are working. And what better way to present that next step in trying to do your part than streaming while you're working. I think it's a great idea, and it just kind of worked out. I'm here when I'm driving, which is quite a bit, and I get to come in when I can and try and make a difference and just do my part, man. That's all I'm trying to do, and trying to get people educated about our amazing ecosystem, our amazing community, the PulseChain community, and this great ecosystem that we have, the greatest blockchain on earth as far as I'm concerned, and which is why we are all here, and especially the pTGC and UFO community. Obviously, we're real, I think, kissing cousins now.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
fucking grateful to have you both on here. Prairie Banana, you've been doing an excellent job representing pTGC and UFO. We've been watching, obviously, early adopter in pTGC. I was just looking at my earliest swap into pTGC, and I think and I won't say I was the earliest, but in November of 23 is when I was buying pTGC, and I was the one that brought it into no permissions. I'm the one that created the subgroup in there about pTGC, and then UFO came out, and it's been off to the races ever since. But really grateful to have you guys both on here for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to understand the system and how it works, and thinking outside the box for a period of time to think that there could be new innovations here on PulseChain, because obviously that's what we want, is unique innovations here on PulseChain, where if anyone wants to take part, they got to come over to this awesome blockchain and participate. And then I feel like once they get here, they realize what a sticky environment this is, what a fun community it is, what a decentralized blockchain it is, how fast the blockchain is. Like, once you can kind of get past the bridge, no pun intended, but once you can get over that bridge, you actually realize the grass is quite green on this side of the bridge. So, thanks for taking some time to understand the product and doing a step to educate other groups on the product, because obviously anyone who took action on what you said that day did quite well. And, that's awesome for one, but for two, I think it's also awesome because it's introducing more people to what I believe is a super awesome narrative and mascot on PulseChain that is really unique to our blockchain. The alien and UFO theme, I think, could be one of the better mascots in crypto that has yet to be fully tapped into, which gives us a huge advantage over here to have a a token that has such a fun and unique mascot that actually has some tech to kind of back the mascot, along with the fact that the charts are looking good too is nice as well. So yeah, thanks
Yeah, for sure.
for doing that for us.
I think
I was just looking at the chart, and it looks like anybody that entered in November, early November, is up about 360x. So congratulations.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for allowing me to lock that shit up. Right? Because I have friends that didn't lock up and they got out and they did not see the vision, man. And they're not too happy about it today.
Yeah, that's kind of the hard thing is like memes, and not really memes, because I think there's good memes that have sustainability and longevity, but what a lot of the crypto space has turned into is gambling, right?
Yep.
So people have this idea in their head is to get in, get some quick X's, 2, 3, 4X, and then get out and then go gamble on something else, pool a different slot machine. And with 99% of crypto, this philosophy actually makes complete sense, because 99% of it's going to zero. So you get out before it goes to zero. Good idea. But you do have to keep in mind that there is that 1% or that 0.1% of projects that will turn out to be generational wealth, that will have sustainability and longevity. And I think it's important for users to kind of step back and think, okay, I'm in this project right now. Did I get into this because I think this is just a slot machine and I did my 2X and I need to get out now? Or is this something that is actually an investment that I can see lasting a long time, that has sustainability, longevity, and really separate the difference between those two types of projects? I'm not saying that, because a lot of people will still always degen and play that gambling side of the crypto casino. But then I also think people need to come back to their roots of why a lot of people ended up here, even though they're more gambling now. But I feel like a lot of people ended up here to find those next solid long plays that have sustainability and longevity and really separate the two types of projects.
For sure. I think that when you could kind of look at some of the crypto good projects as real estate on the blockchain, and that you own a portion of that real estate. And right now on PulseChain, this is your opportunity to get like oceanfront property in Hawaii. This is like your opportunity to, carve out your area in which this is like going out west, go stake your claim. And, we always talk about packing bags or, what have you. It doesn't always mean that you have to jeet out at some point. There's ways that are getting creative, and ways that you could continue to live a healthy lifestyle that's sustainable with everything that's going on in DeFi, whether you're, yield farming or there's staking protocols. And that's the beauty of what you guys have done as far as the liquidity web, where, it's deriving a lot of its value on the success of the chain as far as PulseX, Hex, PulseChain, and so if, Prairie Banana, if you want to hit on some of that stuff, go for it, man.
I'm sorry, I was spacing out for a second there.
Oh yeah, man.
I just need the last 10 seconds.
Just hitting on the liquidity web and the power of pTGC and UFO being in a position pre-PulseChain bull market here.
Sure. Well, I'll just touch on it briefly, and then I'll let you take it away, the Gray, if you don't mind. But just like we have, and I'm looking at the UFO. Oh, give me a second. I got to get this sorted. UFO WPLS liquidity pool is worth $2 million. It's $2 million right now, and that's just UFO. What is that going to be? Obviously, that's going to be, at a 10x, that's going to be $20 million liquidity pool at just a 10x. And then the pTGC, I don't have it in front of me yet. I have to look it up in this site. Do
you want me to show this, buddy? You want me to pull it up, what you're showing?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
All right, there we go.
Give me a second here. I don't want to be flipping screens in front of the viewers. That can make some people dizzy. Yeah, good idea. Let's show it. You
Yep.
already got me pulled up. Okay. So I'm going to sort by liquidity. And this is, guys, this is secretobank.com. This is a free site. Anybody can go here and you can pull up the volume and you can see the liquidity for pTGC and UFO. And you select your address right here. And we selected pTGC. And you can see right here, pTGC has $1.5 million in burnt LP. The way pTGC does it is that LP is burnt.
Yeah.
And obviously at a 10x, that's $15 million. At 100x, you can see where we're going with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now UFO, we'll show you that real quick, and then you can take over. Here is UFO WPLS. There's that $2 million pool I referenced just a minute ago. It's powerful stuff, guys. I mean, if you scroll down, you can see the total liquidity. $14 million for pTGC and $12 million in UFO.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I wanted to make a quick correction, Banana, on the pTGC PLS pair. The majority of it's burnt. There is a good portion that is locked in a smart contract due to the automatic function of the adding LP written in the code of pTGC. So between the two, the burnt liquidity and the locked liquidity in the smart contract, that makes about 95% of that pair up. So technically, yes, 95% of it is in a way burnt and never be sold. I just kind of wanted to correct the exact.
Sure, that's good. Thank you.
So exciting stuff. I understand that you're going to be having the opportunity, Prairie Banana, to kind of go to an in-life real meetup. I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, but I think it's pretty exciting that anybody has the opportunity to network with people, and that's kind of dependent on what they want to do, because crypto gives you that opportunity to not be out in public, or have some security and do it that way. And I applaud you for stepping to the stage literally and presenting this opportunity and sharing the good things about PulseChain. So I don't know if you want to tee that up and kind of talk about that or not, or
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Just briefly, was invited by Randy Hilarski to speak at his conference in Panama at the end of January, here in just a few weeks. So extremely nervous, getting prepared. I have been for weeks, but very excited to talk to people at the conference. I think I did a poll. I think at least like half of the people that are attending or are in the group hold pTGC and UFO already. But it's an opportunity to get it in front of them again, because we all know this, if we disassociate, we get all excited about an asset and we get us some. And if we disconnect ourselves from people in the community, we tend to, we can have a tendency to cheat. So we want to keep these tokens in front of people and remind them, the ones that are holding it, of what they do hold. And then, of course, invite others to get on board the train, because, this is a very exciting ecosystem. It's innovative. We are being copied. We were like I asked in the chat the other day, who was the first to market with this kind of technology? And I didn't get much of an answer. I'm not saying we're the first to market, but it's kind of looking that way. Maybe you would probably know best, TG Zen.
Yeah. So the web idea was an idea that I saw being used not in a similar fashion, but I saw it being used in a way to protect price in certain levels. Like there would be big buys and sells out of the larger LP pools, and when there'd be huge price pushes up or down, other LP pools would then fix this price to help hold the price at common levels to take the high volatility moments out of the system. they're kind of like acting as reserves. And we were watching this with PDI in the early days. And then when I witnessed this happening was when I started realizing that we could use mechanics to help keep pushing the price up and keep adding LP and pay APY to holders, along with supporting the price when there is huge buys and sells. Then our bots and market makers could come and fix and help sustain the price via the other LP pool. So the idea of it was kind of happening, but not in this specific way. We kind of added some other features to this mechanic that I was witnessing happening on chain, and created a different system with that knowledge, if that makes sense. One thing that I found interesting, because you were just talking about like users will, if they're not constantly getting reminded about like how amazing this asset is and what the features are or why they got in, because once they get up a certain amount of X's, it starts to feel like really, really tasty to take some profits. And I feel what they're going through, because especially when, let's say 95% of your portfolio hasn't gone up in a year, like PulseChain is literally exactly where it was a year from now, pretty much. So if you have this one thing that's up quite a bit, you're like, oh, I really need to get some profits. Where can I take it from? And you're like, okay, this is the only thing I can take profits from right now. This is where I'll pull them from. The sad thing about that is, the honest truth is that's the last place you should pull them from, because that's your best performing asset in your portfolio. So that should be actually the one you're usually adding to if it has sustainability and longevity. Obviously, if it's something that just randomly pumped up and you're like, wow, that was random, let me try to get something out of this. But if it's up because of sustainability and longevity and mechanics, that really should be the thing that you're holding on to. And I feel like a lot of people in this space kind of forget that, and they end up transferring value from the things that they're doing well with to the things that aren't doing well. And like, I kind of like to compare it to, it's like, imagine if you had 5 businesses and you had 4 businesses that were really, really struggling, and you had 1 business that was just thriving. That would be like selling your thriving business and trying to make the other 4 work, which ultimately usually wouldn't make sense. You would usually be like, okay, these 4 business ventures didn't work for me. I need to focus on the business venture that is working for me. But people tend to not relate these things to real world simulations, but they are actually very, very similar to real world simulations. When I kind of built out these systems, I tried to relate them constantly back to real world events, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to put rubber and air around the wheel to make it a better product. So we've actually been able to see what derives value for the last 1,000 years. We actually know what some of the most valuable things in finance are. Like, we know where value gets pushed. For an example, indexes. Indexes have been known to do really, really well as far as products in finance. Well, it naturally makes sense that we would have a form of an index on chain that's done in a decentralized manner, that's actually following kind of the basics of like even what Satoshi taught us with decentralized finance, no middleman. So we know this is a huge sector. So we know this is where value lands. We know that scarcity drives value. We know all these things. So what we kind of did was we took all these ideas and brought them together into one, because we know where value is. We just need to tokenize it and bring it here to PulseChain.
Yeah. So is there anything that you guys have on the horizon that you're, I guess, like developing or excited about that, because I'd imagine that like as a builder, you're always kind of building or at least expanding just the community in general. But like, is there any like code type stuff that you're excited about building next? Or is it kind of like, hey, let's just, maintain what we're doing and continue to, be an evangelist for PulseChain here?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's code related right now. We feel pretty complete as far as code stuff. But as a community, what we are working on building is a bigger web. Like right now, we've been really taking advantage of these lows of PulseChain and using the utility of our system with our DAO and etc. and our mechanics to continually add to our liquidity web to make us stronger and stronger and stronger. So when the next time PulseChain rises up to these next levels, since we've secured so many RH tickers and so much LP at these low levels, these will all rise with us. Like Banana was saying earlier in the episode, you know, right now between pTGC and UFO, there's a combined $25 million in liquidity. But let's say PulseChain does a 5x from here. Well, now we would have $125,000 in liquidity. Well, let's say it does a 10x. Well, then that's 250 million, not thousand. So $125 million. If it does a 10x, it'd be $250 million in liquidity. So what we're currently working on is not necessarily a new token or a new product, but making our current project even stronger and stable for the future of PulseChain. And I feel like a lot of people forget that if you have what you believe an amazing product, it makes sense to keep focusing attention at that product than veering to another product and diverting the attention of not only your team, but as your community as well. So right now we're kind of just trying to make the two products that we have on chain as strong and stable as possible for the future. And another big hurdle is just educating people on this system. Like this system is so brand new, like really people on PulseChain are the only people that even know about this system existing. So I think educating the people on PulseChain about what we actually have here in on our chain, so then we can then as a team go educate other chains on this unique project that we have here to help with the adoption of PulseChain and the adoption of pTGC and UFO, because you can only be an educator of. Sorry, I was getting
lost your mic there.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, you can really only be a good educator of the system is if you can properly articulate the system, right? If people ask you questions, you want to be able to answer it. So where that starts is with us, is we have to be able to educate our community. So that's what I've been spending a lot of time on the system. So then they can go and educate their communities or their friends or their followers, etc. And I believe that like that whole thing actually started with RH, because a lot of my knowledge is from studying RH's video after video after video for years. And then that got me to where I am. So now I can also preach the love and the respect I have for RH and also his products. And then I can also add my own knowledge and twist and products to that mix too, with the same vision in mind, with the adoption of PulseChain and Hex.
I want to circle back to what you were saying, the Grade 369, just a few minutes ago. You referenced the DAO, and the DAO is one thing that just in the last couple of weeks has really struck me as an important, very important tool or thing that separates pTGC from other fee-based tokens. And what that DAO does, I liken it to being a boat on a lake. If you've ever driven a boat on a lake, you can drive that boat anywhere you want. If we weren't a DAO, we'd be like a train on a track, like many other tokens. They're going to go up and they go down in price. There's not much you can do. You don't have any flexibility, but with the DAO, we can shift and move with market changes. And that really appeals to me. And then, so basically, TGZ was telling us about, we're basically in market and educating mode. Yeah. We're educating the community, the people that hold it. We're holding 2 AMAs a week, 2 voice chats a week, and 2 spaces every week. 6 days a week. We're reaching within the community and also out to other people that are taking a look at us. We're in educate mode. And when you're talking about like who we're reaching out to, we've been in contact with I don't suppose he'd be watching, but is Cultivate Crypto. We just reached out to him. He started following. I'd never known him before, but he started following the main Twitter account. We're like, hey, this guy's got a channel. Yeah, 38,000 subscribers. So, we have a conversation going with him, and he seems to be more of a Bitcoin Ethereum guy. I think he streamed with RH Max, a month or two ago.
Okay.
But, we are endeavoring to reach outside of PulseChain to bring people into PulseChain, and hopefully, they land on pTGC and UFO, because they are literally an index of all the best tickers on the Pulse network, with a heavy on RH tickers.
Yep. Have you guys gotten a shout out from my boy Joe Perry's at all? I don't know if he's, because I know that he's in all blockchains, but he's very conscious of course, Hex and PulseChain. Like, he onboarded me into Hex when it was like a small 20-person group before he kind of grew it out. But bottom line is, he initially tipped me off to the PulseChain sacrifice. You know what I mean? So, but I know he's cross-chain, and that it would be kind of interesting for him to highlight what you guys are doing. And I don't know if he's ever done a tweet. I know he's made a couple comments about stuff. I don't know where you're at with that. Huh?
I will look.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the Gray 369 has because I think you understand that there's certain people that have kind of like become aware of it. Obviously, like Crypto Coffee recently was kind of like, hey, okay, this is cool, right? Just kind of getting that understanding of the liquidity web and the power that it brings to the blockchain, and how you could be a part of it. And just like you said, owning that piece of real estate on the blockchain is very important for people to understand.
And it's cash flow in real estate too, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you owned an apartment complex, I mean, the idea of you just thinking that, hey, it's a great idea to go ahead and sell 10 doors out of 100 in Manhattan, New York. No, probably not, because, it's going to continue to grow. And I'm excited for what PulseChain could do here, especially in 2025. I've been feeling the conviction and energy of what can come for growth, and not just number go up. I think that we really are on the tip of the spearhead as far as building out this digital nation. You guys are part of that.
Yeah, you could sell your 10 doors out of 100 in Manhattan and nuke 10% of your cash flow, or you could sell the cash flow, sell your yield. And in pTGC and UFO, because all of the yield is backed in LP, we could literally sell our yield every day and it wouldn't impact the chart. And I wanted to make this point that there are a lot of people taking a strong look at pTGC and UFO, like recently, that got deep pockets, like high up Hex people, that are blown away. They're like, how did I miss this?
Yeah,
where was this? And they're coming and they're talking to their friends, and that's very exciting for me.
For sure.
Yeah. So real quick on the Joe thing is I've had Joe liking some of my tweets here or there for, I'd say, the last 6 months to a year.
Okay.
It kind of seems like it flows in and out in waves because he is multi-chain. So it seems like my stuff will populate for him more when PulseChain is kind of running up, and I'll see like a like here or there. But then if PulseChain's kind of running down, it's like the algorithm kind of maybe shoves me away from him for a little bit. So I think I'm on his radar a little bit, or we're on his radar a little bit, but he hasn't taken the full deep dive. I really hope one of these days he does take the real deep dive, because the nice thing about there's a pro and a con to the multi-chain influencer, right? Like the con of that is that he's not like an RH Maxi that believes in all the principles and only wants, the the people to stay in real products. They're going to talk about other products. They're going to have meme coins. They're going to have some plays that don't play out, right? There's a little bit more gambling going involved. But the
Right.
pro of the multi-chain influencer is, even though some of the Hex and PulseChain maxis are seeing now other products, but you have to look at it on the other way. The flip side is there's other products and other people on other blockchains now being shown PulseChain products. So it's a way for us to break out of that shell that we're in currently and show, some Ethereum degens or Solana degens, some of the things that we have here on PulseChain that are unique to us, because a lot of them are degens not because they necessarily want to be, it's just where the market has shoved them. Like when they landed on crypto Twitter, those degen spaces, the scam spaces, are so loud, the algorithm kind of shoves them in that direction. So it's nice that we have like sustainable products over here. Once we can break through the media of what the natural media of crypto Twitter is pushing them, and we can get in front of their face, we kind of are, in my opinion, a promised land of where these people can go and make X's.
Yep.
But also be in sustainable projects with real communities that are actually looking out for one another instead of a player versus player casino, which the majority of crypto is. Like, a lot of people don't realize, this is a little off topic, but like all of crypto, all of finance, all of money is very player versus player. There is usually not two winners. There's usually a loser and a winner in the scenario, especially with crypto. And one thing about all tokens, and a lot of people don't like to admit this, but I'll admit it, they're pretty much just a big Ponzi scheme. You get early people in, and then you need other people to come in after you to push more money in, so then that person that got in early can eventually get money out, and then the person who got in late gets left with the money at the end. And that person that got in late needs to get more people in for his bag to grow, and then for him to later get on. So you constantly have to be getting new customers in the door behind you to back the price that you got in with. And then if the music stops, obviously people get left being held, or people are left holding the bag. And this, because in a lot of 99% of crypto, is the only value that's in the token is from people getting into the token. They are coming into the token and they're receiving that token, but eventually they want something out. So there's only so much value in the system, and it's all came from people coming in. What's unique about what we have here with pTGC and UFO is a majority of the value that is generated isn't from users coming in. It's from our utility that is actually not even reliant on users using the utility. It's based off of the system that we've developed. So it's actually generating value from an outside source and bringing that value into our SOL tokens and our holders and our value in our LP, making it so everyone can win. There isn't a winner and a loser because you're actually a value generating machine. And I think when people actually realize that and understand what we have uniquely here on PulseChain, it's going to be a game changer, because we're offering everything that big players are looking for. There's liquidity, there's APY built into the code, sustainability in the mechanics. So we're giving a place for the whales to go and they could thrive. There's enough water for them to swim. But then we're also giving small players a place where they can thrive. They can not only be in a place where they can make crazy X's, because we're still a micro cap on a chain that's super undervalued. So you have the ability with reflexivity and the X multiplier to easily do hundreds of X's, but you're also swimming aside some huge players. So when you're swimming alongside whales, you'll see this in just natural environment. Small fish will swim with big fish. Why? For protection. Because it's easier to swim. You now aren't left in the open to get attacked. You want to be swimming in a pod with other big fish. That's why people live in communities. Just in the olden, that's why dogs live in communities. It's just real world things just brought to crypto. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just putting air and rubber around it, like I said. So it's really the end all be all of what everyone's looking for. we're just being gate kept at the moment. And I think once those gates open, these products are going to really open up people's eyes.
Dude,
Yeah.
I love listening to Hayden because I don't know
I
about
know.
you guys, but it's just like I get these like vintage like RH frequencies
Yeah.
that he puts out, and it's almost like in his DNA. Like everything that he is saying is everything that I've heard with some new stuff mixed into it.
Have you ever, like, this might have been when you were younger, have you ever like gotten a friend and you hung out with that friend all summer, and next thing you know, you have the same like mannerisms, you act the same, you're doing the same thing, you actually start to become the people who you hang around most with. That's
Yeah.
why you
So
try
true.
to hang around successful individuals. I think the only reason I use similar like talking points as RH is like, dude, when I say I've like watched way too many RH videos throughout the last 4 years, is I've literally, when like you are looking for guidance and you want someone to be a teacher to you for your financial future, you're going to go down a lot of rabbit holes and try to look for guidance, because there isn't a lot of people who are actually in that upper echelon of successful people in this world that you should be looking up to. A lot of people actually look up to like the worst type of people. I always like, for an example, like I know someone who is going through a divorce and they're going to a marriage counselor, and they're telling me how they didn't really like their marriage counselor. And I'm like, well, do you know anything about this marriage counselor's marriage? Like, how's their life? And they're like,
Right.
oh yeah, they're single. And I'm like, well, why the heck would you ever take like the counselor is like, not like, I look at people like for like my own relationship. Like, I'm going to go and I'm going to look at someone that I think has an amazing relationship with their wife.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing. Or I'm a father, so I'm going to look at someone who's an amazing father to their kid. And I'm going to be, okay, I need to be around this guy because he's going to rub off on me, and he's going to teach me without him even knowing. He's teaching me how to be a great father and husband. And that's who I want to surround myself with. So then naturally I was like, wow, like Richard Hart is super smart. He's educated on DeFi. Like, I can't go and hang out with Richard Hart, but what I can do is he's left us hours and hours and hours of educational videos online that we can just dive so deep into and just learn from and learn from and learn from. And it's still there today. And like a lot of people say like, oh, we need Richard Hart videos. And I'm like, dude, I'll be straight up. You guys need to all go back to the last 4 years and rewatch all these videos, because you have forgotten everything.
Yeah.
Immersion is the only way.
And to that point, I know AJ and I have been in discussions as far as what we can do, and we're archiving and going through those things. And we really want to kind of reintroduce those wisdom and talking points and knowledge that Richard does, and kind of bring them to light on the show more. And that's kind of where, like, going back to Joe Perry, is like, I felt like I was on the crypto like tour bus, and we were kind of going around the entire blockchain. And when the bus showed up to Richard Hart, I was like, hey you guys, I'm getting off the bus. I'm good. I found Hexaco. I found the person that spoke to me the most. But to that point, I'd love to have that opportunity to set up a Zoom call and kind of like show Joe the power of what you guys are doing. I know he believes in PulseChain, but we really want to like take the time in the future to really start hitting home on Richard's mission, cause, and belief for blockchain. And I think people get kind of lost in the sauce with everything.
There's a lot of sauce. That's for
Oh,
sure.
I know.
Right. You watch the 2 hours and you're getting a lot of sauce, but you can pick out some certain like 2-minute clips in it that just hit so home that you can't find that stuff anywhere else. You just have to get through all those videos. There's a lot of them.
You have to immerse yourself in, like, it's like learning a new language. I mean, if you want to learn anything, if it's personal development, you've got to immerse yourself in the environment. In order to learn a new language, would you rather go to school for an hour a week, or would you rather go to Mexico and learn the language? You got to go there, be involved, and immerse yourself, and over time you're just going to become that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're totally right about all that. I have two things that I want to say because I got to go in.
Yep.
One's a technical question. PB, I want you to know that you coming to Panama is freaking epic.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And look, I brought Randy to the light of pTGC and UFO. He's been talking about it ever since, and really grateful that he extended an olive branch to have you come out and talk to us. And I'm hoping to be there. There are some medical condition or things that I just came up with that may keep me from going there. I'm just finding that out this week. But I'm hoping to see you there, and I want you to know, dude, you are gonna go there, and it's gonna be like home. Like there's no need to be nervous. Like we are all like family, and there's probably going to be about 60 of us there, and everyone there is very knowledgeable about UFO and pTGC, and they know who you are. And like I said, dude, no need to be nervous. You're going to do great. You're going to love everyone there, and we're grateful to be able to have you there, buddy, for sure.
Thank you. That is comforting, even though I know that you guys are all,
yeah, you're gonna feel like one of the you're one of us, dude, for sure. As far as my technical question, so UFO has a share rate, and I don't understand the intricacies of the share rate. I do know I have some early LPs that I set up, and I guess I'm wondering if I add to that LP, is it changing my share rate? And maybe could you talk about the share rate a little bit and the benefits of having that set up and earlier, and the benefits of having it earlier than people that are coming in later. I have to run in, but Zen, thank you for coming on. You know how much we love you. PB, grateful to have you, buddy. Can't wait to see you in Panama and Pura.
Yeah, did you want me to answer that question just right now, or?
Yeah, could you please? I'm going to go in, but I'm listening.
I'll write down
the
time.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
So with the UFO shares, when you lock in an early share rate, you're obviously locking in a better bang for the buck for the share rate. But you can add to it later on. You're just creating an average between your later UFO share rates compared to your early UFO share rates. Just like if you, let's say, DCA'd into Hex at a penny and then you DCA'd in at 10 cents.
Right.
Well, then you would have an average DCA of, let's say, 5 cents, right? Yes. So you are kind of just making your average a little worse, to where you probably think back and you're like, wow, why didn't I just get in all at 1 cent, right? You just kind of are making your average a little bit worse, but that's okay. I do suggest, if you are thinking about adding, consider adding to another pair, because those UFO shares won't mix, or add to another wallet if you're trying to add into the same pair. Because when you do close that down, it's also closing, or if, let's say, if you close that UFO shares down, it's not like you can just take your most recent UFO shares and close them down. What you're closing down is the average between the two. And I feel like if you have really early UFO shares and you feel good about them, kind of just keep those separate and just keep those working for you. And if you're looking to add, create another wallet or add to another pool. And that would probably be a good way to keep those separated. But how it works and why they are more expensive now than early days, and why, let's say, now they could be still extremely discounted to what the future could be holding for you. When you provide LP with V2, you need both sides of the pair. So let's say in the first week you provided some UFO shares at around a 2 million market cap. Well, at that time, you would be, let's say, these are made up numbers, but let's say 1 million UFO was equivalent to 1 million Pulse. and you paired those together, well, you would have gotten 1 million UFO share rates. And let's say in general, that costs you $10,000, $5,000 a UFO and $5,000 of PLS. Well, let's say we're 6 months later and you want to get those 1 million UFO shares. But guess what? Now UFO is up 20x against Pulse, or 10x against Pulse. So now it's not going to cost you the $10,000, or I think that's what, yeah, $10,000 for those UFO shares. It's going to cost you $200,000 for those UFO shares.
Yep.
Because not only do you have to buy the 20x, the UFO that's now up 20x, but you have to pair that to its equivalent. So when you created the UFO shares early, it was only 1 million Pulse that you needed to match the 1 million UFO. But now that UFOs outperform Pulse by a 20x, you now need 20 times the amount of PulseChain to create that equal pair.
Yep.
So that, and this could work in the opposite direction too. If UFO went on a crash compared to Pulse, obviously it would become a lot cheaper to get these UFO shares because the price of UFO is cheaper. But as if UFO keeps chugging up against its paired tokens, it will continuously become more expensive to get the same amount of UFO shares that you could have locked in early. And those UFO shares are how you're earning, obviously, your PLS rewards. And you just have to think about it. Like, you need both sides no matter what. So even if you're like, ooh, I'm going to buy the UFO now, and if UFO goes up, it won't matter because I've already had the UFO, so I can just pair it later. What you have to open up your mind to is you're always going to have to pair the other side. So you might have had equal amounts of Pulse and UFO in the early days to get those UFO shares, but now if UFO ran and Pulse didn't run, you now have technically, let's say you have now $100,000 worth of UFO, but you still only have $5,000 of Pulse. So you're never going to be able to pair the two together to get those UFO shares unless you sell some UFO to get the other side of the pair to then even itself out. But then you still don't end up with that quantity of UFO shares anyways. You would be ending up with like half the amount of UFO shares.
Yeah. I think that highlight of Hart's Law and the price going up is pretty powerful. But the one thing I think that everyone at home or on the replay gang should see is, like, when we had that FUD event and everything dropped within the community, it was pretty amazing to watch pTGC and UFO get a rebound rather quickly because of the bonded liquidity. There was, a massive dip, but then all of a sudden that was a lot of people's opportunity to kind of buy in on discount, not due to sell pressure necessarily on the token, but just Hart's Law being in effect. So
yeah, I keep saying that the fact that PulseChain is still at these levels, or has now even came down to these levels, like it's down 40% again.
Yep.
PulseChain keeps giving users an opportunity to buy pTGC and UFO at discounts. Currently, pTGC and UFO are both at extreme discounts, not due to pTGC and UFO going on extreme discounts, but due to PulseChain as a whole going on a cheap discount, and that is discounting the price of pTGC and UFO. But what you have to remember is, when PulseChain revalues, or if PulseChain revalues, let's say 4x from now, due to Hart's Law, pTGC and UFO are going to revalue itself at 4x the price. And now this discount that you were getting because of PulseChain being cheap will be gone.
Yep.
And that will have nothing to do with buys and sells on pTGC or UFO. Of course, if people at that point sell pTGC, of course, we'll go down from there. But if you look at our past performance, people actually buy pTGC during these events. because now they're up on their pulse, and they're like, a lot of people don't understand that everything in crypto is just ratio based. So if
Right.
one pTGC is one pulse, and they're like, oh, but I'm down on my pulse right now, it's half a sack. But then pulse goes up to sack, and they're like, okay, I'm now up on my pulse. Like now I'm willing to trade, but they still got the exact same amount of pTGC. It just mentally felt better to them because it felt like they were now in profits on the pulse chain that they bought initially at sack rate.
Right.
And this goes the opposite direction too. Like, so if you look at unsustainable projects, like projects that people are holding to make X's and get back to the gas token, but then they realize, oh God, that was a stupid move. Like, I'm down on this token. I don't even know why I got this. It doesn't have sustainability. I was just trying to gamble. Well, what happens is PulseChain will rise up, and this user, let's say they're 50% down right now on this gamble, this casino play they did. No sustainability, nothing, no real liquidity there, no mechanics to thrive. Well, PulseChain goes up. Well, now this gamble is now up to the price they bought in at, and they're like, yes, I'm break even now. I can now swap back to Pulse. But they're actually not break even. They're still getting half the amount of Pulse that they spent on it in the first place. It just mentally felt better for them because it was the same dollar value.
Yeah.
But nothing, it matters what's dollar valued on chain. What kind of matters is how many Pulse you're getting for it. And we actually made a huge post about this, about how pTGC and UFO have turned into a form of a proxy of the gas token Pulse, because what people are actually able to do with their Pulse or blockchain tokens, since we have so much liquidity, people have been able to come over with their Pulse, put it into our liquidity pools. In exchange, they get pTGC and UFO tokens, which are heavily backed by $25 million in liquidity. And they're now earning trustless APY just for holding or single-sided staking. So they're getting APY, and they're holding a hyper-deflationary asset that's known to move up against the gas token, which then the time comes, they're like, okay, I need some profits. I need to exit to pay some bills, right? Well, now, let's say they cash out 5% of their bag. Well, they actually are getting more Pulse than what they put in for that 5% portion than they would have just by holding, because of the utility that's behind pTGC and UFO, because the system is actually value generating from outside sources and sucking it in.
Yep.
So they're ending up with more Pulse chain for coming into this proxy, because the proxy has been actually mechanically designed to go up in price and pay you trustless APY. Where a lot of people don't actually realize this is like a horrible equivalent, but because fiat is hyperinflationary and PulseChain is technically deflationary in a way. It deflates and kind of inflates, but let's say it's just break even, just for example purposes. So, and I kind of look at PulseChain as kind of our transactional currency on chain. I get that it's the gas token, but just for this point, let's talk about it. Like, so PulseChain is the transactional currency. Fiat is our transactional currency in the real world.
Yep.
But any wealthy person actually doesn't hold all of their value in the transactional currency. Why? Because it's not scarce, because it doesn't give you APY. What they do is they trade their transactional currency for a proxy that is going to give them APY and is scarce. A great example is property. A great example is, gold, because these things are proxies. It's always a claim check back for their fiat. They can exchange that property, or they can exchange that gold back for the fiat if they need transactional currency. But if they're looking to just store their value, it's actually made more sense, and this has been figured out for hundreds of years now. This isn't, again, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just putting air and rubber around it. Like, we've studied all the things that have worked in the real world. We just need to put that shit on the blockchain. So what we actually figured out is, okay, people can turn their transactional currency into these proxies that are hyper deflationary and pay APY, which increase in value So when they do need more transactional currency, let's say this person bought this property in Orange County right in the ocean 20 years ago. Well, guess what? Now when they turn that property back into fiat, they're getting a lot more fiat than if they just held that fiat, you know,
Right.
20 years ago. Obviously, our fiat has huge inflation to it. I'm actually going to say this example. This example is even crazier than this analogy that I'm giving. But the thing is they're ending up with more fiat by going into these proxies temporarily. A lot of millionaires only keep 15% or less of their value in the fiat currency, in transactional currency, and the rest gets put into stores of value so they can increase their value by holding it and get paid trustless or APY in the meantime. I recently made a tweet about this. I'm going to go through it real quick. I'm sorry, I'm like rambling right now.
No, you're all good, man. I mean, you talked about fiat being kind of like a pet rock, and it just sits there, and
It's worse. It falls. It's worse than a pet rock.
It wants to go to work for you, and by allowing it to go to work, not only does it allow you to garner returns while you're sleeping or doing whatever, but it continues to grow. And those are the concepts that we need to educate people on blockchain and crypto. And I think something that I really like about what you guys bring to the table is not just, a concept and an idea, but it's the ability to teach and educate people about the power of crypto and blockchain and pTGC and UFO and what it does. And I think we kind of need to get back to that as a community. I know that we've been talking offline specifically about like explainer videos and things that we could do to heighten people's education and understanding of why we do what we do and how you can get into it and how it will protect your sovereignty and the value of it in this system that we live in that really kind of wants to take and extract from you. And this is your ability to kind of fight back the fight and win.
100%. It's a pretty much a struggle between, or not a struggle between, we know the obvious winners, but it's between the have-nots and the have-yachts. So you can pick which one do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the have-yacht side where the inflation actually increases the value of the assets? Or do you want to be on the have-not side where your value that you're working for on the daily, which is your time, is getting constantly depressed by the fact that they keep increasing the inflation on top of you? If you don't have the assets, all you get is the inflation. So let me give this example real quick. So you have 10 apples and you have $10. And in this example, 10 apples equals $10. Well, let's say they go on a printing spree and now there's $20, but there's still 10 apples. Well, now instead of each apple costing $1, now each apple costs $2. If you owned an apple, you made out pretty good. Now the apple you owned is not worth $1, it's now worth $2. But if you owned 0 apples, all that did was up the cost of the apple. Now you're spending $2 instead of $1. You ultimately bit the bullet there, and now you have to work twice as much to buy the same apple you did before the inflation happened. So now let's kind of rewind. Let's say that there is no inflation and the apples become deflationary in a way. Let's say someone eats these apples, they're gone, they're out of existence. Now you have 5 apples and you have $10. Well, what happens? Well, now the apples, the asset, is worth $2 again because you have $10 to 5 apples. So $2 equals, or $10 equals 5 apples, $2 an apple. Well, when you mix those two things into one, what you get is pTGC and UFO. pTGC and UFO is the apple. So you have the problem of inflation in the real world. So they're printing money, making it so you have to pay more for the apple. But now you have the apple actually decreasing in value. So now instead of 10 apples, there's actually only 5 apples. So now you have the $10 turned to $20 and your 10 apples turned to 5 your 10 apples turned to 5 apples. So now instead of each apple being worth $2, the apples are actually worth $4. Do you want to be on the side of owning the apples and owning the things that went from $1 to $4 due to supply and demand basics, or the side of the have yachts? Or do you want to be on the side of the have nots, the side that's working for the value, who is buying the apples from the people who had the apples in the first place? So now you're going to have to pay 4 times the amount for the apple if you have them, or if you don't have them. And if you have them, you get to sell them for 4 times the amount now. And that's why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's as basic as that. And all we did was we wrote that into code with pTGC and UFO. If you adopt pTGC and UFO, you end up on the side of have yachts. Sadly, if you don't, you end up on the side of have nots. And we're not the only example of this. There's others on chain.
Yep.
But we studied these principles to understand the basics of supply and demand and just put it into code, because, again, these things have been going on for thousands of years. Even before currency, there was things that had value that you could trade amongst other people. We don't need to reinvent that. We just need to study it and bring it to our new innovation, which is blockchain.
I love it. Prairie Banana, before we kind of round things out, is there, you want me to show the chart and we could kind of discuss that, and we could kind of just kind of like give a quick kind of like outro for everyone within crypto and PulseChain land here. But let me go ahead and show that chart. There it is. I'm assuming that's probably, is that on the daily or weekly there?
This is pTGC against WPLS on the weekly.
Beautiful.
And if you users don't know how to do this, you instead of selecting, I think USD is the default setting,
right,
index screener, select WPLS.
Yep.
And then you can see how much pTGC or UFO, for that matter, because this is about the same for UFO, have moved up against the network token. And this is the entire lifespan of the token. Now, we have obviously like a 14-month history of moving up and to the right against the network token. The network token is 50% below SAC rate right now. We can only imagine what's going to happen when PulseChain makes its move. And we'll have to talk maybe on another stream. We have some moon math calculators that are based on like factual real-time data.
Yeah.
And we can pull those up and show your audience. And actually, let me drop that in the chat. Look into ptgc.com. It's a paid site. It's $22 a month. If you guys hold the tokens and find that useful, you can do that. But there is free stuff on there also. Look into ptgc.com. We'll just have to review those calculators on another stream, perhaps.
Yeah, completely. I mean, we try to stick to a blueprint of, I know that we're a little over it, but like to an hour, and really our viewers are the blockchain and crypto. That's kind of what we're trying to, move towards, is that we need to come together as a community to really kind of teach and educate people about crypto and the power of DeFi. And that what we believe is, PulseChain is just like this sleeping, like giant, like even like talking with our fellow yesterday on yesterday's stream, KRJ, which helps us out on the back end of a lot of things that we do, but he's in other blockchain. He says, man, you guys have so much infrastructure. It's amazing that people just don't know about it. And the cool thing is, yes, the infrastructure and the builders are building. So when people do show up, they're going to be like, holy cow, there's an entire city built over here. And we were just fading it the entire time because we just kind of associated Richard Hart as the spam king and this guy or whatever, and like, really, we have such a collective community that's really building a lot of great things. And I know that there's like a lot of infighting and what have you, but if you guys focused on the of what we've done in the past 2-3 years, it's really amazing. It really is. So I appreciate you guys coming on here. If there's any like last 30-second hit that you guys want to give, go ahead and tee it off.
I will mention that we got today is Tuesday, so we have a voice chat. If any of your viewers want to jump in the voice chat, talk to Hayden, Zen, the founder.
Right.
That'll be at 3 p.m. today in the pTGC Telegram, and then I'll be having an AMA tomorrow at 8 AM PST.
Nice. Okay, cool. That being said, I'll drop you guys down. I'm going to tee up tomorrow's show as far as our guest, Fat Sammy, coming on the show. I greatly appreciate you guys hopping in here. I'm excited for all things PulseChain and everything that people are building. I'm excited for you, Prairie Banana. I mean, you've been practicing what you're doing and actually putting action to words. So just go enjoy the moment of networking down in Panama. It's a great experience, great opportunity. And I think that we're at the forefront of something really exciting within PulseChain, everyone. And you guys are a part of that journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Cryptic Compassion. Keep crushing the content, man. Doing a great job.
You know, we're just trying to do our part for the things that we believe in. And I truly do believe that there's power in the blockchain. And it kind of goes back to everything that, you know, the Gray 369 talked about as far as Richard's content. And we're really going to try to highlight that more and more and just share that good word of the power of the blockchain outside of whatever you want to call it, the matrix or what have you. And we have a great community here in PulseChain and Hexaco. So thanks again, you guys. I'll go ahead and drop you guys down and tee up the tomorrow show. Thank you. All right. Hey, thanks everyone for hopping on here to the shit show with episode 57 with the founder of pTGC and UFO and our man, the Prairie Banana. Tomorrow we got Fat Sammy coming on at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be a good one. And then we'll round out the week on Thursday with open mic again. We're trying to sandwich the open mics on Monday and Thursdays, just kind of increase community engagement, open things up to just talk all things crypto and see where innovation's happening on the blockchain. But here's this by AJ again, doing awesome videos. Fat Sammy.
Flows through every link, building the kingdom quicker than you think. A surge of hope in every node, creating paths, laying the road. Richard's dream, a future vast. The pulse is here, the die is cast. Rise up the pulse, a kingdom grows. Hoorah, hoorah, the power shows. In every block, the dream unfolds. Just here in chains of gold. King and queen stand side by side, building the realm, no need to hide. The pulse beats on, strong and true, lighting the way, breaking through. From darkness form the chain ascends, a force of change that never ends. Rise up the pulse, a kingdom grows. The power shows.
Right on. Thanks everyone for joining in on the conversation. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.